Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. Ian Anderson for the Atlanta Braves made his fourth start of spring training, and it was a lot of the same. Like, you got questions. He walked four guys in 4 innings. Two of those came after a 9-run fifth. Maybe you give him a pass. Maybe you don't. I'm not really in the business of giving people passes because he's out on the mound, and he walked two batters. Gave up a couple of runs. ERA for the spring 2.25. Not the worst outing. Not the best. But there's this overwhelming thing that I just keep looking at. And he can't strike guys out. 6 strikeouts in 12 innings. And he's walking over a batter. 13 walks in 12 innings. That's not going to play. That's not going to play in AAA Gwinnett, let alone the majors. And we talked about it. That first start for him would be in Chavez Ravine against the Los Angeles Dodgers. But with all that being said, based on what we've seen and the limited amount of time, 2 weeks until opening day, I think you can pretty much pencil his name on the opening day roster.
I don't know why. I mean, only a fool would still be confident in Ian Anderson not returning to 2021 form, because that is a pipe dream. But just getting back to being a major league pitcher, just being able to maintain a spot in an MLB rotation is getting further and further and further away on the horizon. It is he as soon as he plays faces an MLB lineup and starts giving out these free passes, they're going to make him pay. It's that simple. He hasn't been playing great. He hasn't been facing, great lineups. He's been playing spring training lineups. And while some of them, are close to what an MLB team would trot out on opening day or in the regular season, most of the time, it's a bunch of bums. It's a bunch of guys who a lot of teams are just giving, these non-roster invitees a chance, a crack to fill the roster, basically. He's going to get torn up if he keeps these free passes going. I mean, and while there is room to improve and maybe find some more consistency, especially when it comes to the control, I don't see, I've seen enough. He's going to get beat to crap. And I wouldn't be surprised if it took him 4 starts, before the Braves were like, okay, it's over. It's over. I mean, he is going to get obliterated in LA. Obliterated.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that based on the control issues, but I mean, this is also a guy in Ian Anderson that when push comes to shove, when the guy needs to throw, and I know he's done it in the playoffs in the past, but now he's battling for his life. And at the same time, this is a pressure situation. When he takes the mound for the first time against Los Angeles, everyone's going to expect him to get absolutely, totally blown up.
So he'll go out and throw 5 scorers.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's done over the entirety of his career. And I think that's why the Braves are obviously going to hang on. I mean, depth is already a concern for this rotation until Spencer Strider gets back. They're not going to just throw that away. And then you also still have upside there. Now, it may be a long shot, but if the guy can ever start to consistently throw strikes, he can be a major league pitcher again. And you do have to take into consideration that it is spring training. We overact to guys in spring training who are working on things. And if anybody's working on things, Ian Anderson is probably working on the most. Guy hasn't pitched in 2 years.
Do they work on walking guys?
Yeah, but I mean, but control is part of it. I mean, the guy hasn't pitched against major league hitters in over 2 years. And the control issues stem from before the injury, but it's something that's going to have to take some work. Now, he's going to have to learn it quickly because he's not going to have a long leash. The leash is going to be very small. I mean, Spencer Strider, we expect to be ready by early May at the latest, end of April, probably at the soonest. And if by then Ian Anderson has gone out there in 3 or 4 starts and just the Braves punted games because he's given up 4 runs and only going 3 and 4 innings, he's not going to be on the roster and his time in Atlanta is going to be over. But they're going to give him that shot. And I don't want to overreact so much to spring training. In the same breath, he hasn't looked good. I mean, the walks are a total issue. He doesn't still have a reliable third offering. It's a lot of the same stuff we saw from Ian Anderson, even when he was healthy and he got optioned to Gwinnett at the end of 2022. So it's spring training. Could be a lot better. He hasn't pitched in a while. The Braves are going to see it through. So that's why I'm already penciling his name there. He's shown enough. He's shown enough. But, the writing's on the wall if it doesn't get better.
It looks awful. I mean, and we can, I do agree with you. I don't think he's in danger of missing the opening day roster by any means. I don't want people to think that's what I am insinuating. I think he is a virtual lock to make even if he continues this stretch of his K to BB ratio is like 0.5. That is
0.46
or less. I mean, that is horrendous. That is like me going out there and throwing lollipops. I mean, it's absolutely atrocious. And I think, we can give the spring training thing, he's working, he's doing this, he's trying to get into form. Yeah. He hasn't played, faced major league batters in a long time. In that same breath, like I was saying, he's not really facing major league batters. Like, it's spring training. Like, 1 in every 2 guys, it feels like, is a major league player. Like, or maybe, 2 in every 3 guys is a major league player. Like, once you get to a lineup that every single guy is a major league player, it's going to look even worse. Like,
yeah. But I mean, right now, I mean, as bad as everything is, 2.25 ERA is still pretty damn good. And that's the point. I mean, he's still managed to get out of these situations, get big outs. I mean, and that's who Ian Anderson has been. Like, he's never been this guy who's like, oh, I blew you away and got 13, 14 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's had some control issues, but he's always been able to get out of jams and work out of tight spots. So that's what he's been very good at, and he's shown that in spring training. But you're right. The leash is going to be extremely short. It wouldn't even shock me if they go out there. I wouldn't say the Dodgers game is good because they are the Los Angeles Dodgers, and it's his first start on the road. But whoever that second start is against, it'll probably be, I want to think it's maybe the opening day series at Truist Park will be his second start. If he goes out there and gets absolutely shellacked by the Dodgers and then shellacked that second start, they'll probably cut the cord. I will say one thing about just penciling his name. The Braves are a team that heavily values that strikeout to walk ratio. And if their depth was any better, I think
he
Ian
wouldn't
Anderson
even have a shot.
Yeah, I think they would be like, hey, this ain't going to work out. We're not even going to put you through the suffering of going out there and making that start. But he has that cachet. They have depth concerns. And I think that
he's living on that cachet then, because it's awful. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, this is going to be the exact result in a 7 ERA over, his first 2 starts where he's walking batters, can't strike guys out. And again, he's never been the high strikeout guy. He's always been a kind of pitch to contact, get out of jams, kind of locating his pitchers. He doesn't have the sexiest stuff, but he's not doing any of that. Well, outside of the thing you mentioned, getting out of some jams, but he can't locate pitchers. And that is like the biggest strength of what that kind of pitcher is. I mean, like, I have seen enough where, like, I'm kind of done with it. I'm kind of moving on. I'm already 3 weeks into the season where we're looking for, who is that fifth starter? Is it AJ Smith-Shawver? Who is it going to be?
Yeah, I lean towards you. I lean towards you. And I've been hard on Ian Anderson since before he threw a pitch in spring training. But I do, I want to caution you, Alex, because this stuff happens, man, in spring training. I'm telling you,
I'd love to be wrong.
I'm just laying out the scenario where you are wrong, because I lean towards what you're saying. And anyone that's watched the show and what I've said about Ian Anderson on my TikToks, go follow it at sportstalkatl.com. It has heard what I thought about Ian Anderson. But I also leave the door open because spring training is weird. Guys are constantly working on stuff. And Ian Anderson hasn't pitched in the majors for 2 years. Like, he's ramping it up more than any other pitcher out there right now in spring training. He's getting used to things more than any other pitcher out there, though. So things could take a significant, considerable turn. And I do not want to count out the fact that the guy has just cojones. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt that if anyone can walk into Chavez Ravine and surprise everyone, it would be Ian Anderson.
Well, it's the only reason he probably still has a shot.
Yeah.
Is that 2020.
Well, I would love to see those cojones out there in that first series in Los Angeles, getting a win with Ian Anderson on the bump. Talk about a huge win for the Braves to start the season if that happened.